this morning. Why don't you tell us your night at the museum experience and then we'll get to Christine.
So there was a fantastic tour guide. His name was Larry, and Larry was a veteran with just so much information to share. And when we had asked him to see, the classic, everyone was talking about Top Gun, we said, "Where's the Top Gun plane?" He pointed us to it. It was also towards the end of our trip there. And Larry had us captivated so much that we missed our bus home. So we spent probably an extra 15, 20 minutes, a few of us from the conference. We called it our night at the museum. We ended up calling it an Uber, but Larry was he kept talking. He was walking with us. He goes, "Oh, the bus might have left, but if that's the case, you might as well let's talk while we Uber." So it was just such hospitality too. It was great.
Amazing. So welcome, Christine. How did you enjoy last night?
I really loved it. I mean, I've had passion for flight my whole life, been involved in air shows. So for me, we walked in and I completely geeked out, which was fun. And I actually had my mom with me on this trip. So it was fun to introduce her to people that were at the conference and to experience that with her.
Amazing. So for those who don't know you online, tell us who you are and what you do. And we're going to get into how this whole conference experience has been for you for the last couple of months.
Everybody knows me, but no, I am Christine Barnhart. I actually give Laura a ton of credit. I was a practitioner, engineering, manufacturing, supply chain for 20 some odd years, and I met Laura in 2015 and really started to learn about kind of her vision for where supply chain was going. And 3 years later, I made the jump and moved to technology. So I literally last week started a new job with a company called Nulogy. We're a multi-enterprise business network. And, we help companies collaborate and, manage their suppliers and customers. So I'm super excited. Was hired to help them with their product marketing. So, kind of bringing that voice of the customer internal.
Amazing. And I love the fact that, you went from practitioner to the technology side. And it's amazing how much experience and knowledge that you bring from one side to the other. And then it creates so much creativity and innovation. And you used my favorite word, which is collaboration.
Absolutely. It's funny because, for me, when I met Laura, that was when she was just kicking off some of her network of networks, research and things of that nature. And it made so much sense to me. I had been in planning, I had been in sourcing. You put a plan together, 30 minutes later, somebody would tell you didn't have something that you needed, and you would blow up and have to do it again. And it was so frustrating. And so the concept of companies working together better, collaborating in a more meaningful way and in real time just makes so much sense to me. And that's what I'm passionate about. That's the reason I joined Nulogy, kind of getting back into that multi-enterprise space.
Nice. So talk to us about your experience over the last couple of days. What were your favorites? Mm-hmm. What were some of your insights? And then maybe what are you walking away from these last few days?
It's interesting. So Laura always has great case studies. So I knew to expect that. This year was not a disappointment. Mm-hmm. What I thought was really interesting was kind of the return to the human, right? Mm-hmm. Pre-COVID, I think a lot of people thought that workers were just endless and, we were a capacity, there was just endless capacity. And what I heard from Kevin, what I heard from, other speakers was, our human assets are the most important asset that we have, and that we're making investments in technology and in business processes, not to eliminate those assets, but to really make their work life better. And as a technologist, I love hearing that because I think that ultimately that's what we should be driving this. The other thing, which was the, unlearn to learn. And I have a little bit different take on that because I think it's important to understand what you have learned and what didn't work.
Right.
And then move forward and learn something new. So I've always been a continuous learner. So this is kind of right up my alley. I definitely think we need more experimentation, more innovation. And then honestly, the Medtronic use case and how they have leveraged all the data that they had, all the systems that they had, and pulled them together with a governance model to continuously evaluate flow and mode and node. Wow, that just blew me away. And I have a ton of notes. And I'm going to take them back to our product management team and be like, look, this is a model we need to take note of because it's super exciting.
Yeah, I really wanted to meet Allison. I've interviewed her on the podcast, but I was in here and she was on stage. And so totally missed Allison, but hopefully
she was good. And 7 months pregnant. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have never made it up on the stage in 7 months.
Well, and the fact that she's like, I have a video that's going to give me a moment to breathe. Like we're bringing it back to what it means to be a human in supply chain and taking those moments, being vulnerable. I mean, when Kevin and Rick were here in the hot seat, they were talking, both of them mentioned mental health for leadership.
Yeah.
And important. For them to be able to mention that and for us to be able to talk about it. I mean, the theme for me over the last 3 days and what Laura had talked about last night is the word courage. I feel like everybody over the last 3 days has had the courage to be vulnerable, speak the truth, be authentic, and it's really been very refreshing. Alex, Christine and I can talk for hours. I'm going to bring you back into the conversation.
Please. We talked about this yesterday, and it's as someone who really I think missed out on a bit of some personal development and professional development in the supply chain space because of COVID. Being a part, a Gen Z, a younger generation is. It's something that this is a question. There are leaders that are talking about it in the space. It's not just all of the complaints and all of the, the classic gripes that we do here with the job that I think many people, the thanklessness that Kevin had mentioned, right? So it was very refreshing. I couldn't agree more.
Well, I think pre-pandemic, there was a lot more blame game happening, right? And now I think as we've gone through it, there's more, I feel like, and maybe I could be wrong, but there's more empathy.
I think it depends on the company, but I definitely think that we kind of learned that we were either going to band together and weather the storm of COVID, or, we were really going to be lost. And, the other thing that I think in terms of a shift, when I started in manufacturing and engineering right out of college, in order to be successful, to be a leader in a company, they basically, they sacrificed their families, right? They were on the road all the time. They weren't going to baseball games. They weren't, and I think now we really are seeing, like a kinder, gentler, like a full human. And I have to wonder, maybe those things were happening. Leaders just didn't feel like they could share, but now they do share, right? They talk about their families. They talk about happening in their personal life and their struggles. And I think that's really helpful. I think it is. So, as an employee, you can look to that and say, okay, you know what? I can aspire to be a leader as well because it's a full human,
Yeah, absolutely. And just a reminder to the audience, if you have any comments or questions for us right now, make sure to put it in the chat because we definitely want to get to that. Now, talking about the human element, today is all about people. Really, it's all about supply chain talent. One of the things that Laura gave us a quote about today. Today, we are going to discuss the real missing link in supply chain talent. Over the last 31 months, we have had the Great Resignation and many, many retirements due to M&A and business restructuring. They seem to cross my mailbox every day, and companies are struggling to find talent. Now, one of the quotes that we had from somebody yesterday was, you really value something when you don't have enough of something. Exactly. And, that's what we're experiencing.
And, what's interesting, I don't know if you followed the work of a think tank called IMSI.
No.
They've actually coined the phrase, the great pandemic, or lack of people, lack of demographic. And this is not a problem that's going to go away. Yeah. It's actually going to get worse over the next century, especially in developed countries where we have, for all intents and purposes, really closed the funnel, if you will, on immigration. And so you have baby boomers retiring, you have baby boomers that are giving their wealth to their millennial children, which is, so now they're becoming entrepreneurs. They're not entering the workforce. Right. It's really a problem all around. And I think, as leaders in companies, we have to figure out, well, how do we have a good culture? How do we make people work for us? How do we have the right tools so they're not, frustrated, beating their head against the wall, trying to figure out, how to make their lives successful.
And they're more conscious about where they want to spend their time. Yes. The time to them is way more valuable. 100%. Time with family, time doing things that they want to do. I mean, Alex, step in here because I'm a millennial and you're Gen Z. So what are you looking for as far as work-life balance? Give us a sort of a view into what Gen Zers are looking for in their lives right now.
I love the characterization of all Gen Zs through one perspective. It's the same way millennials are.
X millennial Z. We got them all. Yeah.
So one perspective, and I mean I've heard this just shared between my friends, right? It's that a European approach to life is what I've heard, and that's best summarized by a lot of Americans. They work to live. They work their whole life to live. Or excuse me, I think I flipped that. They live to work. They wake up. They wake up every day. Geez, the Europeans. I'm mixing up my own phrasing here. So Americans wake up. They live to work, as opposed to work just enough. And I think that's really how I've kind of more been approaching this. Is right. How can you do enough to go out and still spend time with your family? Take a break in the afternoon if you're feeling sluggish, and if you're a 30-minute walk re-energizes you for the rest of the day, go do that. Right? You don't just sit at your laptop and make your mouse seem like you're moving it on a computer just so that your boss thinks you're around. Right? And I think that little bit of flexibility, whether it's in the middle of the day, at the end of the day, or whenever, is what a lot of people are looking for.
Yeah. And I think we're looking at people more holistically, right? There's people who are better in the morning. Yeah, right. They're more productive in the morning. Not either. There's people who are more productive late evening. Yeah, exactly. There are people that want to spend time with their families throughout, like just before dinner and putting them to bed. And then they want to work 2 or 3 hours. Right. I think having that flexibility and working with the person as who they are and how they are most productive is really how we're going to win moving forward.
Totally.
Instead of trying to put them into a box.
Exactly.
Right? The way you and I sort of grow up.
Oh, no, exactly. For me, in my first couple of roles, it was like, butt at desk, right? That was what was important. If I had to be there by a certain time, I had to stay at my desk for a certain period of time. And it wasn't really about results or productivity. It was about the number of hours I was at work, which has always frustrated me because it really should be about, give me a goal. I'm going to reach that goal, right? Whatever that may be. And so for me, I really learned this in 2018 when I left manufacturing, went into technology, and I went fully remote for the first time. And I had to the first couple of months, I was still in that kind of get up, log in. My husband would come in at like 3:00 in the afternoon and I would be like, I have such a headache. And he's like, what'd you eat for lunch? Oh, wait, I haven't ate lunch. So I really had to learn myself how to set boundaries and balance, but I've never been happier. And, for the people that work for me, I want that for them. I try to encourage, family is important and having that time is important. You're a better employee. You're more creative. You're more productive when you take the time for yourself.
Yeah. And, getting written up for getting in at 801.
Yeah.
You and I have experienced that. Right? Oh, yeah. And there's nothing more demotivating than being I busted my butt to get in and I'm 1 minute late. And
yeah, exactly. No, you're fine.
So let's not do that anymore, people. Well, We got a poll. If we can put our first poll of the day up, we're going to ask you a question. What is your biggest challenge with leadership? So we're going to do this poll. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what your biggest challenges are with leadership at the moment. And then Alex is going to give us a bit of an update on social media. We're going to let you know who won trivia part 2. And then we're going to take a look at the leaderboard to see where you're at, because those winners are going to be announced between 12 and 12:30 today. So you are more than welcome to join us, or you can go and join the live in-person stage.
It's hard to pick, but I'm going to go join the live in person. I hope everybody has a great time, and that's you know what? If you got one nugget from the event, you're doing well.
Awesome.
See you.
Thank you so much, Christine. See you later. All right. So what is your greatest challenge that's another question. Okay, we'll go with this poll. What is your greatest challenge in building next generation supply chain talent? So your options are testing, improving the value of next generation processes, a common understanding of supply chain excellence by the executive team, or analytic skills. So let us know what your answer is now, and we will go through those answers in just a second. Sorry, I need to take that off my screen so I can see what we're doing. Are you sure you wish to leave? Yes. Okay. So hopefully we can get those answers on the screen soon. While we're waiting for those answers, Alex, do you want to give us maybe the trivia winner?
I do. So drum roll, please, Sarah. After a little bit of tallying and a pretty close race, a lot of second places, one winner actually answered 2 more questions more than anyone else in the second round of trivia, and that was Michael Lamora. So congratulations, Michael. I know Sarah's got a fantastic prize for you that she's
Yeah, so Michael, you have won a 45-minute session with Laura Ciceri. And so if you can get in touch with Regina, she will set that up for you. And congratulations. That is a huge prize, and really well done to everybody on the trivia, whether it was part 1, part 2, Giselle won part 1. And I know she's on the leaderboard for today too. So remember to get your points in, because we've got more of those 45-minute sessions up for grabs at the end of today. All right. So we've got our answers back from the poll. So 67% of you said testing, improving the value of next generation. Alex, I can't see the percentage for the third one. What's the percentage? Can you see that?
I cannot. It has a hand clapping.
I have the hand clapping too. All right. Well, the second runner.
It's got to be 30-ish%, right? We're just doing the math.
Yeah. The second runner-up is analytic skills. So there you have it. Those are some of the greatest challenges that we are seeing right now in building the next generation supply chain talent. Well, you are going to learn all about that today coming up. Now, before we head off to the in-person stage, they're going to be getting started at about 9 a.m. That's in about 11 minutes. Alex, why don't we go through some social media updates? Because I know that we've had some really great activity. We heard from Alma and Jessica and Marie. So let's hear that, and then I'll give an update on the leaderboard.
Yeah. So let's we'll start with a really great tweet by Mary. Mary is a Senior Director of Industry Outreach and Academic Alliances at Canaxis. And it's just a little bit of an insight into the museum, what we did last night, Sarah. Sorry, I couldn't think. The National Air and Space Museum, the Discovery Shuttle, all the fantastic flights or planes there that had taken flight. Really, the premise and what the tweet encompasses is ready for our ideas to take flight, and what Laura really encouraged everyone and set the stage for our visit and the tour was aviation history was another type of industry that has to continually think about breakthroughs and innovation in a way that from a competitive standpoint, a military standpoint, and then also just a humanity standpoint, we need to keep pushing forward. And that was very inspirational from a lot of the supply chain challenges. I'm thinking about labeling parts the same way, serializing parts the same way you almost have to from an NFT standpoint. That was one of the takeaways from the shuttle that I was talking with Nicole from LKQ about. It was really interesting. It's a really, really great spot to just inspire conversation.
Awesome. And I think I think we got a really good LinkedIn post from Alma from day 2. It was really nice to be able to meet her in person. I see her all over LinkedIn. So let's talk about that one.
We did. So I think let's start off, right? You and Alma sound like you're friends. You're connected over LinkedIn a bit, right? And it was the first time you're meeting, which is exciting.
Yeah, no, we've been connected over LinkedIn throughout, well, for a while now, because she is local Canadian to me. She also lives in Toronto, and but we've never really met. We've never met in person up until this particular conference. So it's crazy to me that I'm still meeting people that are LinkedIn friends in person at different conferences. Still, because I've been to so many conferences this year and everything has really opened back up. But yeah, I'm still meeting LinkedIn friends in person. I'm still going to be doing it into November. So that's really exciting.
That is fantastic. Oh, that's so cool. Sarah, I am working to get that post pulled up to pull up some of Alma's questions.
So
I lost it. I apologize. Give me one.
Yeah, while we do that, I'm gonna cover the leaderboard. We've got I think it's a good thing to note. So Marie Bishop is in first place right now with 592 points.
Wow.
We've got Jessica, who is in second place at 402. Giselle at third place with 377. Ryan Burns at 265. And in the fifth spot is Michael at 213. I believe Michael just won the trivia. So he might be up for another prize. I think we're giving away the top 3. So just to let you know, we've got the points. If you go to the leaderboard on the left side of your screen, the points are at the top. So you can see where you can get points for doing specific things. One of the things that we'd really like you to encourage you to do is complete the conference survey. That actually gets you 10 points because we want to get your feedback. We want to have an idea of what you liked and what you didn't like and how we can do it better next time. And we've got some major points there for different things. You know, we've got 10 points for take a picture and upload it to the platform as well, and 10 points for completing your profile. So lots of points still up there for grabs. Like I said, we're going to give top 3 prizes away between 12 and 12:30, which we're excited about. Alex, were you able to pull up that post?
I did. And it was, that was my fault. I lost it there, but an incredible post. Oh my goodness. From Alma. And Alma really, she prefaced it with what are some of the discussions we've been having so far. And Sarah, I'm just going to list a few of them. I'm not going to go into detail because I mean this is a day's worth of 8 to 5 content. So we'll distill it here. But really, how do we keep our customers at the center? And really, not only customers, but then people in general. That's your internal team or their customers. Next question was, we are one of the next discussions. We have to actively design the flow of our supply chain, including the forms, functions, and then the decouplings. That's something that we talked about in the river of demand and also the Medtronic survey. Christine was just talking about how brilliantly Allison was able to articulate that, right?
Absolutely.
Next question that we kind of posed was, do we have all the data and the analytics that we need to drive good actions and mitigate things that could go wrong? And the follow-up thought was on that, and I thought this was really great. You can't act on what you can't see.
It's very, very, very true. And we learned a lot about that yesterday, especially with Brett and the discrete simulation. I'm talking a lot on my show about simulation. And like I had mentioned in our conversation with Brett yesterday, I'm seeing it in various parts of supply chain. One of the mini series that we have right now, we're talking about simulation in parcel space. And what does it mean to have the right packaging? What does it mean to have product closer to the customer? What does it mean if you change how much time are you saving? How much money are you saving? Can you get it to the customer faster? And so there's various parts of supply chain that I think are really ripe for simulation and being able to do those what if scenarios and take that real-time data back to the business associates and the internal stakeholders and be like, if we do this, if we make this minor shift, this is what it's going to do for us and our customers, right? And I think that kind of visualization, visibility, that kind of intentionality and data is really going to change the game for a lot of supply chain professionals and organizations who are going to benefit from supply chain teams that are doing that kind of simulation. So really quickly, I know we've only got a couple of minutes before I want to wrap up and we go back to in-person stage. I know we had some comments from Hugo, Jessica, Marie. Can you just read through those so everybody has an idea of what other people are saying about the event?
Yeah. Of course. So Hugo said great topics. He's been attending virtually. He really liked the session about supply chain sustainability. That was the one from day one. He thinks it's a really critical theme, and moving away from static auditing and self-reporting to on-the-go performance visibility and insights. That's going to bring ESG action and sustainability. It's going to give it teeth. It's going to bring it to life, is what he said.
Nice.
A lot of great applause on that comment there. Another one from Jessica. Jessica said, "Great recap, Alma. Looks like you're having fun. She wishes she was there in person, but she feels like she's getting the inside scoop on what's going on. Kind of feels like she's behind the scenes thanks to the virtual conference when the speakers come to them directly after and get kind of a first look at that. So it's been a great week," she says. We have Marie, who said, "Great recap of the discussion. The Let's Talk supply chain team is doing a great job of keeping the virtual audience engaged, the interviews, and then also through the polls and our thought-provoking discussions." So we appreciate all of that engagement, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, we do. All right. Well, thank you so much for everyone joining us this morning. We'll be back with some of these points a little bit later on. Plus, you're going to be able to hear from Jenny later on, which she'll be on stage very soon. But for now, Alex and I are passing it over to the in-person stage for Which Dreams Need to Take Flight, then an academic panel on building the next generation of talent with Jenny. And I will be back here to see you at 10:30 a.m. Alex is leaving us for today. Alex, thank you so much for co-hosting and joining us for the conference these last couple of days.
Thank you, Sarah. It's been great talking with you and really great to engage with everyone online.
All right, let's take it to the in-person stage.